Hi, I'm Clara Altimus. I'm the writer of Jeremy and Margot Make a Baby and also act in it and also produced it.
Hi, I'm Christopher Hayes. I produced Jeremy and Margot Make a Baby and I act in it with Clara.
Hi, I'm Lisa Savard Kwong, and I am a songwriter, and one of my songs was featured in the film.
So, guys, how long have you had this idea? Where did it come from? I mean, was it come from any reality? I mean, where did this kind of spark from?
I guess the whole process sort of started. I was a co-producer on a writing workshop in Toronto. I guess 2 summers ago, and called Queer Ideas, and it was supposed to be an incubator for short form LGBT content. I was kind of working on this thing, and I had the idea for this relationship between these two people, and I told it to Clara, and she was like, "I can write that." So she did. Yeah.
Yeah, and like as far as it coming from anything real, not really, except that like Chris and I have been great friends for years, lived together, never gone that far, but
I was like, wouldn't it be hilarious if we had sex? Let's make that a movie.
But that awkwardness is so part of what makes it so special. What was the writing like on this? Because there's timing involved, there's the pauses, there's the awkward little moments. How much of that was in the script? How much of that was improv when y'all were together?
it was kind of a mashup of both. It definitely, like, that is my tone, like writing awkward characters who kind of have the best intentions but can't quite get the right things said. And then knowing Chris so well, I knew kind of how to like embrace what he would be able to just like really like eat up as an actor, and then as well, like on set we were working with a great director who's like a huge comedy guy, and we were able to kind of just like riff, knowing each other so well. There was like a real comfort in that and a real like just safety to like just trying things. And like the dinner scene is so awkward, but like that's a lot of improvised stuff, and that was we would just like keep the scene going until like we felt we had improv all of it. Like,
I guess well, yeah, go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, it was a lot of the punchlines and stuff were written in. They were for sure in the script, but there's just some sort of stuff in between and little filler things that we just kind of riffed with. And the director, even one time, there's one particularly funny thing that came out of an improv, and he, switched the coverage and was like, "Do it again." Give that line again so that we can get that moment from the other side too. So everyone was kind of on board with that. Yeah.
Let's jump to the foreplay and the sex part of it, and how much craziness was involved in that. How many positions were tried? You know what I mean? There was a lot going on.
It was a workout, I'll tell you that. I don't know. No, it was pretty, we kind of set up before what we were going to do, and there wasn't a ton of improv to the sex scenes, I would say. But we just really kind of looked each other in the eye and channeled that really natural awkwardness. That was, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think we choreographed it like about a week before we shot. We had a rehearsal, and I remember I was the most nervous about that, and I remember being really sick during the rehearsal, and both Chris and the director were just like disgusted, and I was just like, well, this is as bad as it's gonna get. And so then once we were shooting, it actually was kind of the easiest part in a way, because it felt so like structured, and there was such like obvious exposition, like we were just like so exposed physically that like I felt like that was kind of easier than some of the vulnerable parts, like emotionally.
How much did you want to expose? Was there a line? I mean, you guys go full out.
Yeah. Well, was
there a line that you wanted to cross, or not really?
Yeah, like from the beginning we kind of decided that if we were going to do this film about this, like we didn't want to hold back, and so that was kind of up to all of us, but like it was a discussion between the director and us right off the bat, like what we were comfortable with, and we were kind of like open to whatever we thought was going to tell the most honest story. And so yeah, that's kind of where I was at with it.
I'm pretty much down to get naked all the time, so I was like, I can take off my underwear for this, and Claire was like, please don't. I was like, but just in case. And she was like, please don't.
I think too, watching the film for the first time, having the nudity, because at first I've known Clara since we were 11. We've been BFFs for a long time, and so for me, I mean, I've seen you like pretty naked, like sleepover styles, jammies and whatever. But to see her just like fully boobs out, it was like, but I think having that, especially with the tender moments afterwards, like really helps the emotional part of it and the heart of it like really come through, because you feel your vulnerability. You could have easily had the covers up hiding everything, but just you sort of laying there after this intense experience, you really feel that kind of like we left it all out on the field,
To keep going off that though, to make it not nudity while the sex, but afterwards, where it is that tender moment, was that always in the script? Was that always the idea?
No, it was kind of in the script. It kind of just left it open, up for debate, and Dan, the director, kind of decided on this moment after the sex that would be like the most like naked, and both like she had just exposed herself emotionally, like with the I love you moment kind of thing, or the orgasm moment, and then just to like really nail it in full exposed nudity. So like I think that was like part of, I mean, it was one of those things like there's so much awkwardness and there's so much just like raw, I don't know, stuff between the two of us that like we weren't gonna not go there, because it's just kind of like, you guys are just gonna talk about sex the whole time or what? Like
Well, I've got to ask about the song and the music behind it. Was that something that was pre the movie? I mean, how did your involvement come about, since you've known Claire so long?
Well, Clara has had a couple of projects where she's reached out to me for music, and I have a catalog of songs kind of lying around, whatever, just writing songs all the time. But they had some difficulty finding the right piece. They were thinking of doing something instrumental, purely instrumental, no lyrics, which is not super up my alley. But I watched the film, and she sort of asked me if I had any ideas. And at first I was like, well, if this is what you're thinking of, this type of like concept, then not really. But then I listened to a few songs and sort of like synced it up with the film and watched it, and was like, I think this could be kind of ironically very, very fitting, and like bring the tone sort of right off the top, and lyrically it ends up sort of matching perfectly as well. This idea of having this sort of impossible dream, or things feeling like they're unattainable, but then reaching out to someone and being open-minded enough to look somewhere, to someone to help you out in this position, and really making that sort of tangible and like finally in your grasp, and how kind of marvelous that is, through a friend or through someone maybe unexpected. But
even though the tone is humorous, the subject matter can very much be important, and that's got to be fun in the sense that this short could hopefully, I mean, it's not the first surrogate film we've seen, but for what you guys are trying to accomplish, it's definitely a new voice in that whole realm. And the time we're in, this is kind of a perfect way to say anyone should have the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. Was that part of the process, or is that just something that's just come about because of the time we're in?
Want to speak to that?
I think it was kind of accidental. I don't know that. I don't know that we really kind of approached it wanting to say something new about this, but it's certainly, something that I've thought about as a gay person. That has wondered whether that maybe one day I'd like to have kids, and how is that going to happen? it's certainly something that I've thought about before and been like, wouldn't it just be easier instead of, all of, the lengths that gay couples often have to go to conceive their own child. It's like, wouldn't it be easier to just close your eyes and get it?
Dummy.
You at least fed her, though.
Yeah. And then sort of, and we don't get into it in the movie, but then there's sort of the discussion of what is everyone's, if the pregnancy works, and then what's everybody's role in it. It's 3 people that are involved. We don't see in the movie my partner, my boyfriend.
Well, we see him, but we just don't
Yes,
meet him.
we get a glimpse.
Great photo, by the way.
Yeah. He fills out a tank top, I'll tell you that. So we don't get into that in the film, but then sort of what happens, what would Margot's involvement be, beyond the surrogacy.
Is it fun to be a part of a festival that is making LGBT films a part of it? There's at least 4 or 5 in the festival. The opening film, Loving, doesn't deal with that material, but it deals with relationships that have had to battle to get their ability to be relationships. It seems like Austin Film Festival is trying to not make a statement, at least allow filmmakers to voice their point of view.
I think it's great. I just think that these sort of stories are becoming more and more incorporated into, the mainstream all the time. And it becomes less of a deal even to be like, we've made a point of having this many LGBT films. It's just, these are good stories. They tell, we like these films and they tell these stories. And but I think it's very exciting that that's where things seem to be moving more and more.
Is it crazy to think that we're just down the street from Congress, or the end of this avenue is?
Are we? Is that what that big building
is? Well, not
is?
Congress like Congress American, but the capital for Texas. And I mean, the way Texas is going politically is opposite maybe of this festival, and this voice is very powerful. Just like South by is similar. Change is film the way maybe to see further change, I guess, would be the question. Or another avenue to open up the discussion better.
Yeah, I think definitely. And I think art in general at this point in time is so important, with the way that the world is going. I think we need to take a look at conventional ways of living and look towards community in a more open-minded fashion. Like, who can we look for? How can we come together and as a family? And, is it through friendships and companionships and partnerships that aren't necessarily linked to romantic relationships or intimacy? Like, we can find that strength and that sense of community, I think, everywhere with anyone, and I think art is important to showcase that with stories that maybe seem unrealistic or unconventional, but really, why not? Why not have a baby, help someone out if you love them? Like, they obviously love each other in the movie, and it's a beautiful thing that they end up doing together, I think.
I've got to ask us, where can we see more? Where does this film go from here? Where can we find out more about you guys too?
We're hoping to continue the festival circuit with the film. This is our first stop, which has been really exciting because this was honestly my number one festival because it's the Writers' Festival and it's just so exciting to be here. And then as far as our work, I'm working on a feature film script that we're getting ready to go into production on in early this new year, spring of 2017. That I'm working on with a company called Without a Flock, who are this great small production company in Toronto. And otherwise, I'm just finishing up at the Canadian Film Centre up in Toronto in the writing program and hoping to just springboard off of that into my new life as a writer.
We don't have any immediate plans to develop this particular project further. We just kind of, even the way it came together, we were just like, we have this idea. Let's, take those tips that we've been saving and make something out of it and just see what happens with it. So this is our first time really doing something like this. So we're just kind of here to see what comes out of it, and who knows, maybe a lot of people though have mentioned that it could be that it's a story that they could see developed into a feature length or, you know, an episodic or something like that. So.
Next.